Now, John, I know you're very excited about this product. I am too. Before we get into the details, though, how long have you personally been using it?
I've been using it about 4 to 5 months. And I first got it and, 30 days in, 45 days, about 45 days in, I started noticing a difference. The skin started getting firmer. After a while, the little wrinkles started going away. I just randomly started putting it on the back of my hand to put it on my face. That's what I did. Then I'd rub it into my hands. I started seeing a difference in my hands. And my friends started noticing. I started getting it for them. And, and I would send it to people who are, let's just say, of a certain age. I'm 61. I mean, if you're 30, it's not going to make that much difference. But, as we get older, our skin gets thinner, wrinkles start to form, and this seems to help rejuvenate your skin, kind of a visual turning back the clock.
I can imagine that of your special friends, they started to really like you at about this point. They're saying, hey, man, hook me up with a little bit more of that.
I became the local hookup, yes, and national. Some of them are names that you might recognize. And yes, it was making a difference.
Well, that's pretty exciting, actually, to think that someone can find a new product out there in an industry that I know, and especially most of your readers also know you're very fond of, which is biotech. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Why biotech, and why do you believe it's going to make such a powerful impact on our economy over the next decade?
Well, I think we're at the beginning of a J curve, at the elbow. And biotech is going to explode over the next decade. There's so many things that we're on the cusp of. I'm looking at companies that in mice, in their labs, have the potential for cancer cures, Alzheimer's, viruses could be a thing of the past, and in the not too distant future, cirrhosis of the liver, for those of us who like our scotch, that's a good thing. There's all sorts of amazing stuff around the corner. And I see this as the potential to create a bubble in stocks, biotech stocks over the next decade. And just once in my life, dear God, please, I want to be at the beginning of a bubble.
And share for those of us who are still learning from you also how that impacts the economy through reduced costs, more jobs, and that sort of thing.
Well, just what you said. I mean, Alzheimer's disease is 7% of our healthcare budgets. What happens, it's not just the curing of cancer and the reduction of costs, it's the productivity we lose from the people who die. If we had fewer viruses, fewer major crippling diseases, there's so much being done in the regeneration world. It's an exciting prospect.
And tell us a little bit about this particular company, how you discovered it, what you learned about them, and why you got excited, and obviously now you're having a huge result personally.
Well, I talk to a lot of biotech executives and scientists because I'm really fascinated by it. And Pat Cox at Breakthrough Technology Alerts introduced me to Ken Aldrich, the chairman. I was out in California, went by his labs. They're growing corneas in test tubes. Yeah, it's cool stuff. They're going to be implanting them in people in India next year.
Wow.
Retinas, so that they don't have to drop stuff in bunnies' eyes to test it anymore. Human retinas, rather. They're really working on diabetes. And one of the things they're doing is they were growing skin from stem cells. Now, these aren't embryonic stem cells. These are parthenogenic stem cells they take from your skin, and they can turn it into lots of different types.
So none of those problems with the fetuses and all that old stuff that a lot of people...
that's so 90s. That argument's gone. They don't use that stuff. And as scientists would do, they started taking the leftover film media, the skin media, and putting it on their face, and they started noticing a difference. Now, there was a problem in that it had to be kept refrigerated. And so there are companies out there saying, well, we've got stem cells in our... No, they don't. It degrades over time. But scientists at ISCO, these are really serious scientists. Pat Cox thinks they have about 40% of the relevant intellectual property in the stem cell world.
That's huge.
A lot.
That's huge. A lot, yeah.
I like this company. But they figured out how to wrap it inside a nanovesicle, with Japanese technology, so that it has a shelf life, and it doesn't really become active until it gets near your skin.
So that makes it commercially available to people like us.
Because it's got shelf life now.
Right.
Yeah.
So then let me ask you, obviously, your friends are seeing a huge result, which means the word is going to get out, which means there's going to be a big demand. And unfortunately, since this is relatively new, there's not that much supply. Is that correct?
That is a problem. I mean, I went to, when we were first talking with Ken about it and we began to get further in, I said, Ken, you don't want to license this technology because you'll get 5 or 6% of the royalties maybe. You want to sell this directly on the internet. You have a production problem. They can produce maybe 10,000 bottles of this a month, and they can ramp up because you have to have scientists and labs and people. Mm-hmm. And there's only a couple thousand scientists in the world that can do this type of stuff.
And they're probably busy.
And they're busy.
Right.
And so it's a lot of technology and training because there's an art to coaxing a stem cell to grow. Mm-hmm. So it'll take some time. I mean, it's just not like mixing chemicals.
So for those of us that are watching this, and including myself saying, hey, I need to get some of that for my own self and my own wife, what do we do? I mean, we obviously need to jump on this right away.
And once we're going to limit the number of people that we'll sell it to our future production capacity. Once you're in, then you're behind the velvet rope. So we'll have supply for you to keep you there, so that you'll always have supply. And
That's right.
And as we ramp up and get our production facilities larger, and we will, then we'll allow other people. I mean,
because you can make some people really mad. I mean, if somebody gets some of this product and then they go back and get more and they can't, they're not happy with you.
Well, that's true, and you know, and we thought about that. I mean, as a businessman, I'm a serial entrepreneur.
Right.
And when I went to Ken and I said, I see this opportunity. If you came to me with this opportunity and you said, John, as my investment advisor, what do you think I should do? I'd say you'd be nuts not to do it. So would I.
Right, but you also at the same time have to make this promise to the customers that those people who jump on early on are going to get a chance to have their supply.
But one of the real reasons I'm excited about this is that this money is now going to go to those scientists at ISCO. And they'll be able to come up with cures for serious problems. I mean, I like my skin looking younger, but if I had diabetes, I would really be excited about that.
Mm-hmm. Now, on a lighter note, I appreciate them taking care of this year's problems. On a lighter note, it is the holidays. There's a lot of people, myself included, who have not thought of that perfect gift for our loved one.
This is the perfect gift. I mean, my friends are saying, John, I know what I want for Christmas. Can you hook me up with something?
So for everybody that's watching right now, let's just recap these promises. What you're saying is, okay, there is a very limited supply. Right. However, those people who jump in and order now are going to be protected.
And they'll be able to keep getting their supply as they need it.
So what a great idea for the holidays. If that person is you, click on the button below. Make sure you get some of that. Let's look a little younger as quickly as we possibly can. And on behalf of all of us, John, your readers, loyal readers that learn so much about biotech stocks and other things over the years, happy holidays and thank you so much.
Thank you.